So today on episode 3 of the Tackle Room, we've got none other than fishery manager from Rookery Waters and owner of Tackle Bates from Peterborough, Alex Bates, just to give us a run through of how the Winter League final is going to fish on the drains this weekend. How are we doing, Alex?
I'm all good, thank you very much. Thank you, Alex.
All good.
Looking for the weekend, mate.
That's really good. So what team do you fish for, Alex? Just to give people an
Um,
idea.
I have a shop team, Daiwa Tackle Bates. We fish East Midlands Winter League, which is quite a tough league to get through. Luckily enough, we managed to sneak in by 1 point. So we managed to get in the final this year. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
That's a really good result for you guys, especially being local as well. Do you feel that that gives you an advantage going forward in obviously the final on Saturday?
Obviously, being local does have an advantage, knowing the venues. The only problem is the fishing changes quite dramatically to what we're used to before Christmas when we're fishing the venues week in, week out. The fish species are sort of changing from mainly being all roach dominated to, with the weather going milder, more big fish, skimmers, rudd. It makes a bit more of a peggier affair, if you know what I mean. Those fish don't live in every peg, and you need to be on those pegs to score the real low points, really.
Yeah. So talking about, obviously it's going to change with the weather changing as it is, gone a bit milder. We'll have a quick talk through the sections if you want.
Yeah.
Just to have a go through and give people an idea of what to expect on Saturday. So if we start with A and B sections, we've got them down for Benwick at Benwick Village.
Yeah, so Benwick is this year. There's 2 full sections on there, which will I think will help really, because it's a proper little match venue. The pegs aren't particularly massive distances apart, but it's one of them venues where you can get your head down some days and have a real nice match, catching lots of small fish, and 10, 12 pound being a good weight. And then if you're behind, you've also got that option sometimes of nicking an odd bonus tench or bream. And with these conditions, hopefully there'll be a few of those fish knocking about come the day. We've had a bit of rain here today. The wind is quite a big thing for the fens. It's always windy, and then when we don't get wind, venues do go very clear quickly. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had some sharp frosts with no wind, and the venue just really switched off. So with this wind and a bit of warm, mild weather, I think the colour should be good and the fish should feed. A and B section. So the first 31 or 32 pegs that we're talking about here. So pegs 1 to 6 are normally the best pegs to draw. You've got like more features there. There's a big willow tree on peg 6. That's always a noted peg. There's big fish there. There's roach. There's a few rudd. There's some little pommies, skimmery type things. Funny fen fish, we call them. And then moving to the rest of the section, there could be, again, if the big fish feed, pegs from sort of 10 to 15 could be, you could catch 18, 20 pound, 2 or 3 tench or something like that. So with the weather going milder, that sort of made that section a little bit fairer as such.
Yeah.
If the big fish feed, if the big fish don't feed, then pegs 1 to 6, I feel, will dominate that first 15 or 16 pegs.
Yep.
Then half of that section. So that will start from just before the wires, and then there's a little gap, and then the other half, there's probably about 8 or 9 pegs, I think it is, on what we call Little London, which is like a big house on a bend with boats and trees, and you can imagine all the fish just want to live there. Again, there's big fish all the way through there. The wire pegs could dominate with if the fish get moved about with the commotion on the bank, you never know where them big fish are going to end up. Normally where the gaps are. And I think pegs 21 and 22 are either side of the wires. But for me, the best pegs are 25 to 32. They are really good pegs. 29 I think is the best peg at Benwick. It's like an old tree just on the edge of a boat. Big fish there, there's small fish, bit of waggler fishing. It's just a great area. So if adds draws there, that'll be a decent area, very decent area.
That's it. So at Benwick itself, what sort of weight do you think you need from, obviously you've got A to D section at Benwick, so what sort of weight do you think you need to win Benwick itself?
Benwick as a whole, before Christmas, different ball game. You was catching sort of 17, 18 pound of bits and pieces, not many big fish. I think Benwick could surprise everyone and throw up the individual winner. There could be a bream shoal anywhere through the both sections, really. Someone could catch 40, 50, 60 pound of them if they do shoal up tight. If they don't, then I can see 20 pound being a very good weight at Benwick. Normally 2 or 3 tench, maybe 10 pound of bits and pieces, and that will be a good weight.
Yeah, that's really good. Just before we move on to obviously March and stuff, is there anything you want to say in regards to parking on the day down at Benwick?
Yeah, obviously there's 2 access points for Benwick. If you're in A and B section, so pegs 1 to 31, the basically you're parking in the farmyard at Chapel Farm. Obviously, make sure you're not blocking any farm buildings and such forth. And then for the second sections, which is C and D, so 32 to 64, excuse me, you're parking at the other end. And again, just make sure you park sensibly. You will need barriers there, especially if you draw in the middle of the 2 sections. It's a bit of a walk, but you never know. You could be walking to a big bream shoal there.
That's it. It's it's something for the anglers to look forward to, even if it is a long walk, really, because like you say, you don't know where they're going to turn up.
No, you don't. From Saturday results, there was big fish dominated throughout. There was some anglers caught a bream and 2 tench and framed. So you never quite know. Quite know. I think the small fish will probably be harder to find in that C and D end. Probably the high numbers of D, so the last 3 or 4 pegs might catch a better stamp fish up there, roach. But like I say, you never know with Benwick. It's one of them strange venues this time of year. The tench could shoal up really tight and someone could catch 15, 16 of them.
Yeah.
No problem.
That's good. So we'll move on to March then, Alex. We are going into E and F section, which is the March bypass.
Right. So March bypass, it's not above the bypass. It's from the bypass bridge back towards town. So normally in the open matches, these are pegs probably 65 to sort of 100 up that end. This particular weekend, Sunday, there was some big weights up there in areas that haven't been as consistent as obviously the towns in the main town sections. Parking for that, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the council yard, like a builder's yard, will be open, and you'll be able to park in there and then walk up the bank, and that will probably bring you out in probably between the 2 sections, if you know what I mean. So. Yeah. Be a pretty steady walk. The other place to park is the actual council yard. Obviously, just got to be really careful parking down there for noise and make sure you're not blocking anyone's garages and driveways. Especially with the amount of pressure the venue's been having, the local residents are, they're not as friendly probably this time of year. Bear that in mind. There is other people going to be using the venue, not for fishing, but for dog walking, running, and just it's generally a busy place. So yeah, bear that in mind. Fishing wise, there was a 38 pound next to the bypass bridge on Sunday, which was predominantly rudd and roach. There could be little pockets of rudd. There's a little area, probably about 8 or 9 pegs below the bypass bridge, which has got a bigger gap, just where there's sort of probably a 50-yard gap, something like that. And with March, the more room you have, the more fish you can draw into your peg. So if you've got more room for any there, expect to have a nice day's fishing, really. There'll be a few roach, obviously skimmers, rudd, some little pommies. There'll be plenty of them, perch. That's the beauty about March this time of year. The fact that the roach are probably switching off now, there's plenty of other fish to target. So
that's it.
Yeah, that'll be good. It'll be, I reckon, you'll probably need 25 pound to be a very good weight through there. I think the weight they were a bit over the top, if you know what I mean, for that section. So,
that's interesting. So moving on to G and H, we've got the allotments and healthcare centre.
yeah, so this section I think could probably the swimming pool or the health centre section. So that'll be H, I would think, H1 to 15. The match was won from what we call mist underwater. There's a boat 2 above the health centre bridge, and Ben McGrath won the open match with £45 of like beautiful specimen rudd. They're from 4 ounces to £2. So if someone draws that, that could be, you know, the individual winner peg for me. You'll probably catch rudd for most of the match and a few skimmers as well. It's just a phenomenal area where people feed the ducks this time of year when the blossoms start to form on the trees. It drops in and the rudd just start feeding. Yeah. And it's a really good area to draw. I would think sort of £35 will win that section this weekend, whether it's rudd or that'll be for good points, £25 to £30.
Wow! So
which, when you think about on a venue, it's unbelievable, really.
It is unbelievable. And just to give people an idea, the venue's changed a lot, obviously, from last year with the fish sitting in the drains now. And are people going to be expecting a totally different match to last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, on Facebook, and you have memories come up from a year ago. I think 3 weeks ago, I had a memory where I was second in a Hayjack League with £6. And now, I think on Sunday, there was 100 pegs and there was probably 2 people weighed under £10 in the whole of the match.
Wow.
So that just gives you a good indication of how well it's fishing this year. Why it's fishing better, who knows? Last year, the locals were very sort of bit miffed about why it was fishing so bad. Not just the old Neen, but Benwick fished harder, and all the other drains in the area were, terrible last year. Leading into this Winter League or before Christmas, the East Midland Winter League, sort of 12 weeks from the first Sunday in October. And we were sort of a bit like, oh, I wonder what March is going to be like. I wonder what Bennett's going to be like. It's been really hot. It'll be weedy. It'll be terrible. Well, just from 2 or 3 weeks in, once we got onto the drains, it was unbelievable fishing. It's the best I've ever witnessed it fishing.
Yeah.
As a consistent length of 100 pegs. Okay, you've got the Y and places like that, but as a match venue for the size of the fish, it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
it really.
So moving away from that, we'll go on to the final 2 sections, J and K, which we've got Wigston's Bridge and the BMX Park, is it?
Yeah, Wigston. So A section will be where peg 1 normally is in the open matches. This section, you've got the first sort of 10 pegs are all in trees with an odd boat, a little bit wider, shallower. Those pegs there, I feel, will be the dominant pegs in that section. There'll be some roach, there'll be some rudd, skimmers, like the rest of it, and then there's about 5 or 6 pegs in what we call the narrows, which it narrows right up. They're in reed. Banks are a bit dodgy there. Not that most of March is a bit dodgy with banks, but I feel that those first 10 pegs will throw up the winner of that section. I'm going to, again, around £20, £22 will be a very good weight through there. Moving on to the second half of the section, so pegs 16 to 31. This has been the dominant area for the roach. It's starting to slow down now for the roach, but you're still catching lots of like pommies, little silver bream, odd rudd kicking up there. £32 was the best weight in those 15 pegs, and that was from a peg near what we call the culvert, which is 6 above the Wigston's Bridge. That will be a very hard peg to beat because it's got half a mile of river above it that no one fishes, so it's a real big end. Again, £30 might win that section. If not, I would say £25 will be a very good weight. It all depends on the rudd. If the rudd have a bit of a chew, they tend to be smaller. That section there, you need to be from basically peg 20 to 31 to score good points. 16 up to 20, you're going to struggle to beat the better pegs to your left. So try and avoid that if you can.
One of the things, obviously, we touched with Benwick, there's a lot of bonus fish about. Is there the same amount in the Old Nene or not, or is it more?
There's an odd tench kicking about. There's a lot of resident fish throughout the year, catch great reef fish, and there's a few resident bream and tench and things like that. Not like Benwick where there's a lot more tench, but the general stamper fish in March is a lot bigger than Benwick. So you could catch 200 fish at Benwick and weigh £10. Catch 200 fish at March, that could be £30.
Yeah,
that's the stamp. Generally a little bit bigger, so you're not sort of targeting a bigger fish, if that makes sense, because the stamp of them is just generally so much better. No, I don't think. I think the bonus fish will be like these £2 rudd or £2 skimmers. That'll be your bonus fish at March. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. There'll be some phenomenal catches. Obviously, people who you've seen all the Facebook posts and that of the top anglers coming down and practicing and saying how good it has been. I just hope it holds up for this Saturday, really.
Yeah, and I'm sure it does. Looking at the weather, it's staying around the same sort of temperature, isn't it? So hopefully,
yeah, it's pretty consistent. The nighttime temperatures is dropping slightly, but I feel that with how mild it's been through the day, it won't make a big water temperature. Yeah.
So, bit of a general question, Alex, just while we're winding down now. Do you think the match will be lost or won on the drains? Do you think it makes that much of a difference? Obviously, because it's a split match with decoy.
It's a good question, that is. I think it depends on your overall team draw. Some teams might have a fantastic team draw at decoy, and this is why the mix works quite well, because it's hard to get the right balance as a team. I feel that the way decoy is pegged, with each set of pegs sort of roughly graded, is different to the drains. The drains, you could have one team have 5 absolute screamers in one set, and you think, wow, do you know what I mean? So I think you can, I do. I think the drains set the tone, to be honest. I really do.
Because I think more with that, because it's a natural venue at the end of the day, and like you say, them fish can move a lot more than they can in the lakes at decoy.
Exactly. The lakes at decoy, you roughly know within a few pegs where the fish are going to turn up. With March, it fished its brains out this week. This Saturday, it could be completely different.
Yeah.
And the peg for a good draw last Sunday might not be a particularly good draw this Sunday. So you just got to draw your set of pegs and make the best of it as you can, really.
Yeah. The big question, what weight is going to win the drains?
I think £45 will win the drains. I think 45 to £50 will individually win it. Yeah, I really do. I think there'll be a shoulder rud at March, or like I said earlier, there could be a shoulder tench or bream just crop up anywhere at Benwick.
Yeah. And we'll go on to the question I asked Tom Edwards in the episode before, really.
Right.
Who do you think are favourites for the match overall? Team wise to start with, and then we'll go on to individually.
You'd be absolutely brain dead not to fancy Drennan Barnsley Blacks. As a group of anglers, they're, well, unbelievable. You never know with a set of draws. You know, there's always that with the drains, they could draw a duff set of pegs, but they still make duff pegs look brilliant. They're going to be the team to beat, no doubt. Both on the drain, boy, they're unbelievable, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And looking at it from a local point of view, is there any standout teams or even individual anglers that you think could cause an upset?
I think team-wise, locally, it'd be so nice to see a local team win, or just get in the top two would be nice. It's a long old winter league for our teams to qualify, and because it's local, obviously you put more effort in. Yeah, I think any of the three teams that qualified, whether it's ourselves, Matrix Image, or Browning Hot Rods, they can, if they draw a decent set of pegs, they'll be very, very dangerous. So, like I say, it'd be nice for the area as well to produce a winning team. Hopefully, our team, but we'll see about that one. Individually wise, again, they're all capable of catching a big weight of fish, especially as we're used to fishing the drains and catching big weights. So if any of the local lads draw on the fish, they can, that they'll be. I mean, there's always the usual draw baggers in each team that will probably be on the flyers. But yeah, we'll see. It'd be nice to see an individual winner and team from the local area doing well.
Exactly, mate, exactly. And I think everyone that's obviously fishing the finals looking forward to it, especially the drains, as they have been producing their results recently. But obviously, just as a thingy, the competition's been running since 1956. So,
right.
what do you is this event as prestigious as the Division 1, Division 2? Do you think it's got the same capabilities? Seems as though teams want to qualify each year.
I do. I think the Nationals are one-off match, and this is a combination of every team in the country fishing a series of matches to qualify, and then a one-off match. So it is, for me, it's the biggest team match in the country by a long way. Like I say, we've been doing it for 12 weeks, and you're looking forward. You sort of, in your planner, in your calendar, you look for the dates for the Winter League and you arrange everything around it. So it is without doubt the best team match. It's a series, isn't it, at the end of the day? So
exactly. And like you say, you fished over 12 rounds, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, whichever your league is, and you need to be consistent, don't you? And getting to the final, you need to be consistent in the final as well to get that result at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Nationals are one-off matches. I personally feel that a lot of teams struggle to get 10 anglers for the time of year that the Nationals are on, whereas when it comes to the Winter League, there's less matches, less big matches for people to concentrate on, and the teams come together and you get that real buzz and vibe. And I think that's why the Winter League final is the best for me.
Yes, agreed. So I think we'll finish up there, Alex. I'd just like to thank you for giving the information that you have, and hopefully the listeners out there will find it really helpful. I'll definitely see you down there on Saturday, no doubt. But to all the anglers out there, best of luck in your team draws, and hopefully you can catch a few fish.